So we've seen 3 championship speeches. And along the way, there are some things that should be jumping out at us. First of all, Manoj hasn't come yet, has he?
Yeah, I'm here.
Manoj, my dear friend.
Hey, how are you, Kory?
I am well. So here's the story about how I know Manoj. In 2015, we were in the same semifinal for the World Championship of Public Speaking. And he took first place, which was a privilege because he beat me and I took second place. It was a joy to watch him speak in Las Vegas. And he went from that speech to take third in the world in Las Vegas. And then I was privileged enough to see him win in Vancouver, British Columbia. It was a delight.
I had a photo of us right in my, I found this like 2 days ago. I didn't know you were going to the Toastmaster of today. So I was talking to Ina earlier and saying to find out, and I was glad that you were on the thing and you delivered a great speech as well. It's a privilege to speak alongside you. In fact, when I mentioned I'm going to meet Kory, actually my wife remembers you and her speech. So that means your speech has been like 5 years and she can still remember. At least she gave the theme. She doesn't remember the message, but she said, I remember the guy. Yeah, I remember the guy. Yeah. So
thank you.
There you go.
I'm humbled. It is, again, while we may be physically distanced from each other, there is still the social connection, not only in Toastmasters. This happens because when you compete. I was so giddy to find out that you were doing it, and I'm happy to be here.
All right. So actually, before I go any further, I just want to say hello to all the Toastmasters in the room. Debroho Vechora. Did I say right?
Wow, great.
If I said right, comment on the chat box to say whether I said right. I've been practicing whole day. Ex Brave. Okay. All right. Okay. Dobre. Very good. Okay. That's it. That's all I can speak. Now I think if I said it right, you can comment on the chat box so I can improve if anything to improve. Debroho Vechora. Yeah. Debroho Vechora. Okay. That's a good evening, Kory. So there is some lesson right there.
Heavens.
Do you know now why I was late? I was not late. I was sitting there and listening to all your comments. I didn't want to disturb. Okay. Sorry. Back to you, Kory.
I know you've done this a number of times. Would you analyze your winning speech and why it was successful and what we can learn from it?
All right. So actually, it will be good for you to observe because a lot of questions have been asked to me about this. Actually, there was this event I will first share with you, which was the Toastmasters podcast about my speech. I'll first share that with you on the chat. So if you are interested, you can take a look at this later. Let me do that first, Kory. Right. So I talk about my speeches and the differences between it. And one of the reasons I deliver my speeches, I actually prepare a lot. Means when of course, everybody prepares a lot, but I am obsessed with delivering of high value. So I do a lot of research. And this is not the only speech I wrote that year. And I wrote like 6 to 7 speeches. And the next question I ask is, what's the right speech to pick for today? In the sense that, so at that point, and if you watch the podcast, you understand why. Because you should also look at what was going on in 2017 and where this contest was happening. The first thing that I noticed when the invitation came for the 2017 World Championship Public Speaking, the contest, is that I observed that the contest is going to be different because typically the World Championship final contest happens in the morning. That means 8 a.m. when everybody is happy, everybody is fresh. And now I had an experience, I believe it was in 2011, when I was speaking at 9 a.m. at night in a club where they were promoting Toastmasters and there was like 50 guests in the room. And I was like the star speaker as per the introduction because they made me the last speaker. And the speakers before me were really, really good. and they engage the audience, they could deliver. And when I was the last speaker, I noticed people were sleeping in the room. This is the first time I see people dozing off. So I was terrified to speak at night again because it's 9 p.m. So when I first saw the 2017 schedule, I saw it's evening. So I realized I had to deliver a speech that's suited for that time. So that, which means people will not do, I didn't expect anybody to laugh because I have been to these conferences like Kory a few times, which means this conference is very tiring. People are sitting in the rooms from 9 a.m., 8 a.m. till late. And this contest starts at night. So by the time I'm speaking, people are tired, sleepy, and want to use the restroom. So they are not in a mood to laugh. So I had to choose something that suits their purpose. And when I was watching and I also decided I'm going to watch all the speakers. So I didn't take any break. I only missed one speaker. So I was also watching the speakers. Everybody tried to speak as if it was the audience is fresh. They tried to crack great jokes, but nobody was laughing. But that had an impact on them. But if you notice my jokes, a lot of people also didn't laugh. But I was prepared for that moment because when I was delivering the similar speeches in another time, people would roll in laughter with some of these jokes. So I was focused more on the messaging, the relevancy of the message for that time. If you remember, that was a time when the United States and North Korea had a huge issue. Then people are talking about nuclear war. And so if you remember, Kim Jong-un said, I'm going to send the nuclear button. And Trump said, I had a bigger button. So, and there was this huge thing going on. And if you look at the map, and if I could share my screen, I could show the map. If you look at the map of the world, Vancouver is in the line of sight between North Korea and Russia and US. So if North Korea is going to fire a missile, it would go above Vancouver. You can take a look at the map, okay? So I was thinking people in Vancouver also would be worried about this, right? Then I was reading newspapers in Vancouver. This is hot topic everywhere. And later, actually, somebody did analysis on my speech using Google, and they said, actually, that was a time when this topic was the highest searched thing in the world, right? Of course, there are a lot of issues between race relationship, cultural relationships, lot of conflict during that time. So I thought maybe this is the topic is great for that point. And I always look at the message first before looking at anything else. If I have a powerful message and I believe in that message, I can deliver it very well. And if I not, that's going to be tough. So even my semi-final speech was based on the same theme of life goes ups and down, and how do you bounce back from that. So these are both the two speeches I picked. The other speech actually I wrote was called The Coconut Tree, which I never got to deliver. I wrote another speech, a few other speeches, 6 other speeches, but these two were the ones I had to pick because that suit the moment. So that was the thinking behind it.
Excellent. Now,
a long answer, yeah.
But you answered a number of my speeches. Licia asked us, Manoj, what was your wife's reaction on the content of your winning speech?
So, Lisa, you want to explain, elaborate on that question more? Why are you asking that question? Yeah, I'll wait for her to comment. Before you can go to the next one.
All right.
Because I just wanted the context behind the question.
Actually, for me personally, it looks like someone put me on the stage.
Say that again.
I try. So it's like someone put me on the stage also, and I should be also with him on the stage. But for example, I'm afraid of public speaking, or I'm afraid to be in the center of all attention. And when my husband tells about me or about our relationships, for me sometimes it will be not comfortable. Yeah, that's why I ask.
Yeah, I think so, because my wife also does public speaking. She actually has like YouTube channel and all that. So she's used to public speaking. So that part was not a problem of getting attention. Of course, the content is tricky because you're talking about a personal relationship. Of course, I took permission from them, right? I took permission from the family to talk about it. And also because the objective was not to make anybody look bad. The objective was to talk about something that everybody goes through, right? I think everybody has faced something. It's universal. So everybody in every relationship either had a breakup or have thought about a breakup. Not everybody will agree with that, right? Of course, I tested the speech in various different cultures, in various types of relationships. There are different types of relationships. I tested it. I took feedback from everyone. Then I found out this is something that everybody's just a universal message. And of course, in this, if you notice, I speak about sex, religion, and politics without using those three words. And if you didn't get what I just said, you can look at the speech back, and you can there are references to sex, religion, and politics. You can take a look at the speech again. Because I also wanted to share about something which most people will not talk, but without highlighting that.
Thank you, Manoj, for answering. Thanks.
How do you use it in the public speaking in the outside of the Toastmasters arena?
So I always look at, so even for the WCPS, of course, you know that I wrote a book called How to Become the World Champion of Public Speaking. I don't know if this is showing the right way. It's the other way,
yes,
right?
It is. Yes,
so
it is.
How to become the world champion. So I actually wrote it down because people keep asking me the same question again and again. So I wrote a 200-page book. So one of the things I mentioned there is like there are 3 milestones in public speaking. The first milestone is me, M-E. That is, you're so worried about yourself. How do I look? So what Lisa asked me earlier, did I say the name right? Lisa asked me earlier was fear of public speaking, right? So when people are focused on themselves, that's when the fear is the highest. So you're worried about, oh, how do I look? What will people say? Is my hair good? Is my dress good? Did I shave? What's my back? So I'm more worried about how people think about me. That's where the fear of public speaking comes. So the next stage is I call message. That means you want to say something. But by the way, most people, 99% of the people in the world are in the me stage. They will never. So that's why they never will attempt public speaking. So the next milestone is message. That means you want to share something that nobody has ever said before. So you want to be unique. You want competing against everybody else. And there is also an element of me. Then I say there's a third milestone. And if you reach this milestone, you can connect with anyone, anywhere in the world. And this milestone, I call it messenger. That means you're not a speaker, you're a messenger. You go through life, you go through obstacles, you go through challenges. Your life has taught you some lesson. And you come up here and you share it to the audience for their benefit. And when you have that mindset, you have no problem wherever you're speaking. And I've adopted that mindset. And one of you look at the summary of my book, I said, don't be a speaker, be a messenger. So I look at what did I learn, what did I reflect, what did I synthesize from that, and how can it relate to this group of people I'm going to talk to, and how can they implement. Then that would be the core of that. And I also send a document to Ina, if she will share with you later, about some of the templates I use to help me keep focused on the message. I call it the Funda card. And also you can download this thing for free. Let me see whether I can find the link. And when Kory goes to the next, did I answer your question, Kory?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Will, when you have a chance, will you put the link so that
I'm doing the
buy your book as well?
Yeah, everything is here. So basically, there are a lot of documents. So to just add to Kory's question, even when I do professional speaking, where I get paid to speak, and I've been doing professional speaking before I became the world champion of public speaking, then I just want to highlight that. So you don't have to become the world champion of public speaking to be a professional speaker. So one of the first questions I ask anyone who wants to compete is, why do you want to become the world champion of public speaking? And if this why is not clear, you're just wasting your time, because it has to be crystal clear. It has to be you have to the conviction how that's going to help you. And what are you planning to do? Think about what are you going to do next after you win the contest, and start doing it anyway now before you get the trophy. So this is not like this amazing thing that you can carry around, and you don't get $1 million and Ferrari because you won the contest. They don't give you $1 million Ferrari or another trip to Switzerland. So download. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So what do you speak about when you are not selling not selling a book on winning the world championship of public speaking, or being interviewed for a podcast? What sorts of material do you share in your professional life?
So my background, I'm an engineer. Then I became a management consultant. Then I was got interested in human behavior. So human behavior, leadership. So my core focus is something called next level leadership readiness. Next level leadership readiness is helping people to get to the next level in the organization. So even before I became the world champion, I got some popularity because of my previous book, which is the Mastering Leadership, the Mousetrap Bear. I think some of you might remember this book. Very funny. This speech started as a 7-minute speech, which I delivered in my club when I was the president of the club, where people were not. So I used that opportunity to share, and I uploaded the speech on YouTube, and nobody watched. And then I converted that into even 1 year, actually after 1 year, there was 200 views, and all of them was me checking how many people watched it, right? So there's no interest. Then I converted into a 40-minute speech, and suddenly everybody was interested in it. Everybody, including in 2016, one of the reasons I didn't compete was Toastmasters invited me to deliver a 40-minute speech about the book at the International Convention in Washington, D.C. And I said, wow, so I can speak without competing. So I didn't compete. So for 40 minutes. And the point I share is I look at topics where people can become better speakers, better leaders, and better influencers in a positive way. Because my core line is, or my why for this area of work I do is to help competent people become confident. Because when I look around the world, I see a lot of competent people are not getting what they deserve just because they're not confident, right? So, and also there are a lot of confident people who may not have the necessary competence. So my focus was to bridge this gap with whatever I learn and know, and my objective is share on those lines. So I get called a lot to speak on leadership, a lot, and a few times on entrepreneurship, and a lot of them related to the Mousetrap way because of people who read the book or saw and seen the speech. And then elements of public speaking, professional speaking program, and all this storytelling, that kind of stuff.
Are you finding that your humor is still translating in the professional series and your professional work the same way that it did on the Toastmasters stage?
Actually, there is the challenge in the Toastmasters is especially in the contest. And I talk about length, about judging, and various things that how influence you as a speaker. Because of I don't know. I also wrote an article called "Are Judges Smart or Stupid?" You can Google this, and it became very. That was the reason I wrote this book, because that article became popular. Then I started writing this book. The point here is sometimes. And okay, I give this quote to somebody else. Okay, one of my mentors said this, that in a Toastmasters contest, it's sometimes about kindergarten students judging a PhD thesis. Okay, so sometimes people may not understand some specifics that goes into speech crafting. And also the speaker cannot be themselves because you're being watched by 12 people judging you. You can't completely be yourself. And in one of my speeches, I say, you see, you can never be yourself when people are watching you. Do you know a place in the world you can be 100% be yourself? Anyone? You want to comment? You can comment on the chat. But where is the place you can 100% be yourself? Okay, I can take a break now. Oh, okay, that's right. It's in the restroom. It's actually not at the home. It's actually in the bathroom. Okay, in your. Now, imagine you are in the bathroom being yourself, and suddenly you see someone is looking through the keyhole. Now, again, you can't be yourself. So this is life. The moment you're being watched, you can't be yourself, right? So if this, sorry to be philosophical, but the point here is in that context, and nothing wrong. Of course, Toastmasters gives you a platform and the international audience you can speak to. But the point is, to win the contest, you need to understand what works for these people, right? For that group of people. Similarly, if you take it off there and go into an audience where you speak, there is no pressure. They're just there to learn and see whether you have anything value to add. I think professional speaking is a lot easier because you are never being judged. And sometimes I also been invited to speak. Like in fact, Jan, I spoke in front of a group of people, a CEO, 300 CEOs, and a lot of them billionaires and high-profile people. I'm talking leadership to them, right? And of course, they have been in running huge companies. But again, I don't feel pressured thinking that, oh, will these guys know better than me? Of course, they have been billionaires for some reason. They know something. But my thinking is there something I know that can add value to them? And I say what I know with confidence, and then they appreciate what I said, right? That's it. So it becomes less stressful. And talking about humor, I think it definitely works anywhere. And but this group of CEOs were pretty serious people, like sitting with, it's a suit and tie. They were not that engaging, but they said nice things afterwards. So I'm not worried about the audience reaction. So, but I put a lot of effort to give high value content, because the same keynote I deliver keeps on improving every time.
Very nice. Where are you finding your stories when you are doing your keynotes? Because I know you're not using the same stories all the time. There are new stories that develop. Where are you finding them?
Yeah, so as I written in the book, and I also say do you know what's the number one habit of creative people? Anybody? I'm just kind of engage the audience as such. If you want, you comment. What's the number one habit of creative people? Those who read the book, some of you I know see them in the group has read the books, but you tell me what's the number one habit of creative people? I can see Stephen is typing. Let's see, Stephen is coming up. Okay, keeping notes. That's right. Krishna Kumar is, I think, looks like. Actually, the thing is actually to take notes. Take notes. You see, even as I sit here, right, I can still say Dabroho Vechora. Next time somebody calls me, I'm going to say Dobre. You know? So this is something being, okay, Dingo is from US, from one of my professional speaking students as well. So one of the things I tell everybody is just take notes. So even when I go to conference, what I do is I just sit there and write piles of notes. Sometimes, at least in one conference, I got scolded for taking notes, because that is quite a revelation for me. Because one speaker was speaking, and he said, "Are you copying my stuff?" I said, "No, I have to be writing all the time. That's who I am. I'm because even when you were speaking, some of the giving feedback, I have to write, because that by writing, what happens is you have a repository of things that you can reuse. But I do something else that's even more powerful. I also use a structured way of note taking, so that I can recall this, and I also tag it properly so that I can. So let's say somebody calls me to speak in the Middle East. So I look at the topic, I can look at the stories, and then I pick the story and customize it for them. And so it usually works. So interesting. That's an interesting topic. Actually, it's a very powerful question that Kory asked, because sometimes you get invited because people have seen you speak, right? So one of the invite I got in the Middle East was the guy said, "Can you come and speak at this conference?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "What do you want me to speak about?" He said, "The same speech you delivered on YouTube." And I said, "Which speech?" Of course, this was the mousetrap speech. So, and then I was like, why are they calling me? And this is a question most people will have. Why are they calling me for something that's already on YouTube? And this is why it's very important. Your speeches has to be connected to you as a person, something you have to deliver. So interesting. Tomorrow I'm running an online club meeting for the speech contestants. Somebody sent me a recording of their speech and said, "Manoj, make sure nobody sees my speech during the class. You're in the club meeting, you deliver the speech, everybody will see." "Oh, I'm worried people are going to steal my speech." I think if you think somebody can steal your speech is not good enough.
Yep.
Yeah, if somebody can steal your speech, that means your speech is not good enough. It's not just content, right? Have you ever wondered why speech writers are not great speakers? So writing a speech, anybody can write a speech. But if you bring yourself into the picture, your story comes alive with you, they are dependent on you, right? They have to see you in action. Of course, but then of course, they said you say exactly what's on YouTube, but then of course I customize a lot more to make it, because I will be sleeping during my speech, just delivering the same content. So I was always improvising.
I've got to wrap this up, but your last anecdote differentiated the, if I'm going to use your structure, the me from the message, and ultimately why someone trying to steal your speech is ineffective, because you are the messenger.
Yeah, that's right. That's a fantastic. That's why I love Kory. So that's a fantastic summary. And I tell people you're a messenger, right? And the philosophical part of that is when you are sharing, there are some people who may not like you. There are some people who like you, right? As long as more people like you and less people dislike you, you're okay. But you have served those people who like you, right? You served those people. In fact, if you go to my LinkedIn, I wrote an article called your like to dislike ratio. You can calculate it for yourself. What is your like to dislike ratio? And the reason I share is there are many people who will not share their content because they're worried about the negative comments they will get, including speaking, including sharing the content online. And so Dingo is in this call. One of the homework I gave the people this week is to actually post their one video on YouTube. And some of them have done that. Kamal has done that and few others. So the point is, just share. Even if nobody likes your content, nobody even watches it, just your objective is to show your work and more opportunities come your way. That's a messenger.
All right. Thank you, Manoj. Thank you. I'm going to turn the meeting back over to my co-host, Inna. Inna? Let's thank you, Manoj, one more time, please.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that value that you added. You are the
Thank
man.
you guys. Nice meeting you all, guys.
I will see you soon, my friend.
Yeah, so take a look at the link. I have a lot of resources for you to download and use. One of the resources, I have two resources I highly recommend is the arrow form, is to get the audience to see. You are not a speaker without an audience, so you need to see what the audience is thinking. So this is the form I use, a lot of contestants and semifinalists and finalists use now, is to take this, and if everybody in the audience has the same view of your message, your speech is universal. Your speech connects with them. Yeah, there are a lot of other links. Thank you, guys. I'll stay on the call for a while. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Inna.
Thank you very much, Manoj. We were excited to hear your insights. Thanks again for